Yeah, hello. Today I'm going to be talking about my recent book. I know I've been gone for a while, but my recent book, Tale of Two Cities. It's a little beaten up. Um, it's taken me like 2 years to read this book, but hopefully we can see. I'm going to kind of do a quick review again, and kind of what I thought of the book at the end. Um, it's going to be like super non-linear, by the way, so just kind of like be along for the ride. It's gonna be a little bit, just because it took me so long, and I think it put together the book in such a weird way. Okay, but okay, basically, okay, the book starts off right, and we're getting introduced to. I think we kind of start off with the introduction to Mr. Lorry, right? Oh, and like the classical, like it was the best times, worst times. So start off with like this kind of antithesis type of thing in the beginning. And they're kind of setting the scene, right? Like of the two cities. The two cities are like London and France, by the way, if you didn't know. And like it's a background of like the French Revolution. Okay, I'm not gonna look at the book. I'm just gonna kind of go from my memory. So we kind of get introduced to like a few characters, right? So we have Miss Minette, her name is Lucy, and then we have Mr. Lorry, Jarvis Lorry, right? So he's a banker and he's taking care of Lucy because her dad, he's like in a French prison, right? So he's like out and about, not out and about, but yeah. So Mr. Minette, let's flash to him then, like where he is in the beginning of the book. Mr. Minette, right? He's a doctor, or was a doctor, but then he was like imprisoned, and you like find out why later in the book, like the very end. But he's imprisoned, right, in the Bastille. Then he gets out of the Bastille, and he's like insane. So he's like living in this guy, um, Mr. Defarge's. He's living in his wine shop in France, right? So Lucy and Mr. Lord, they come over to France and they're like traveling and they get there and they see him and he's like, "Bruh." He's Mr. Minute, he's geeked, right? He's not there. So they're like, "Whoa, what's going on with you?" Like they're trying to snap him out of it. He's like in this trance. He's a shoemaker now. He's like making shoes, like with the shoes, right? And everyone's like, "What is going on here? Like this is so odd." Right? But then he like sees Lucy and he's like, "Whoa, that's like my daughter." And he like, and now he's a person. He's like locked back in. He's like, "I don't know what happened to me. It's so odd." Right? So then they go back to France. I mean, not to back to France. They leave. They leave the Mr. Defarge's thing, right? And Miss Defarge, right, Mr. Defarge's wife, she's sitting there the whole time knitting like this. Everyone's like, "It's kind of weird, dude. Like, why are you knitting so much?" And she's like, "Nah, no reason. It's all cool. Don't worry about it." Odd. Okay, so they go back to London, blah, 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 blah. He's like, "Hey, happy family." And then they end up going to like this court case because this guy is being charged of treason, right? So there's this guy, we're introduced to the spy, his name's Barsard, right? And so Barsard's there, and he's like, "No, like, I'm pretty sure it's this guy." And the guy that they're accusing is a guy named Charles Darnay, right? And so something that we know about little old Charles. Oh, well, I'll tell you about that part later, I guess. Um, I'll tell you that in a second. So basically, they're with this guy named Charles Darnay, and Charles Darnay is like, "No, can't be me." And then they basically do this like bait and switch where the jury confuses who it was doing it, so then he gets off, right? And so then the lawyer is the guy named Sidney Carton, and then his boss. I'm just gonna call him Sidney's boss. So Sidney's okay. So then all these people, they end up going and they're having drinks together after the court case, right? Because they're all celebrating. It's like, yay, yay! Mr. Darnay's not arrested. Darnay's not cooked. Okay. So they're all having this fun thing, and like they hear like these thunderous footsteps, and they're like, "Oh, it's so weird." It's like almost like the footsteps of a revolution. So we're gonna flash back to France now. So in France, Darnay, he's like rich. He's like the nephew of the Marquis de Evermond, right? So it's like crazy. So it's like, oh, okay, so they're really rich. They have like this massive chateau, and they're talking about how they get there, and there's all these like poor people, and they have to drive through past all the poor people. It's really sad, and they're like all scared of him because he has so much power. Because it's like it's like aristocratic age of France, right? So then he gets there, and he's like, "Dad, I care about the poor people. Not Dad, Unc. Unc, I care about the poor people. Poor people don't deserve to die. Hum something hum right? That whole conversation. That whole argument. whatever. Then, something bad is happening. This is also very nonlinear, I'm realizing, but it's okay. It's fine. So basically, okay, they have this argument. Then the next day, his uncle dies. His uncle's dead. Oh wait, actually, take that back. No. Okay, wait. Rewind. Okay, so there's also while they're in France. So Charles, the first time Charles visits his dad. Okay, his uncle. This is right. Before the court case, I think Charles visits his uncle. This seems more right. He visits his uncle, steals the poor people, whatever. But his uncle and him are like doing spy stuff. So he's like telling something about London to his uncle, and then the uncle is like he's like basically a spy for the French people, right? So his uncle is like riding through the street because so his uncle goes to this party, and there's a guy above him. It's like the something Lafayette, Marquis Monsieur Lafayette or something. Basically, the guy above him, right? And he's like basically just is like, oh hey, like you're just the Marquis de Evermond, like you're like okay, bro. And so then he gets all mad. He leaves the party. He's like, oh, whatever. So he's like riding through the streets of Saint Antoine, which is where the Defarges, where their like wine shop is, right? And they kill somebody. He runs over somebody, and he doesn't even turn around until someone throws something at him. He turns out, it's like, "Who did that? I'm gonna kill you next." And then he like throws some coins at him because like poor people, get away from me. And the lady's back there knitting, right? And we're like, this is so odd. Then this is where it happens. So then after that, right? They talk. They're going back to talking, right? The Charles Darnay, right, who's like the something of Evermond, I forgot the actual title, and the Marquis de Evermond or whatever, they're talking again, and he's like, I don't want to be rich, I want to be poor, I want to be with the poor people in London. And his uncle's like, dude, what are you talking about? Like, just be rich and be cool, like, it's fine. Then the next day he ends up dying, right, because someone snuck onto his chariot after he killed the guy, and so he stuck into his chariot and it kills him, basically. And so then that guy, the guy that they think like killed him, the town is like, oh no, they're aristocrats are gonna get us, and they kill that guy, I think, because they're like, oh, we don't want the aristocrats to get mad because aristocrats, you need to die. All these poor people need to die, right? It's kind of sad. Okay, and then flashback to London. Sydney's boss, right? He's gonna try to get at Lucy because Lucy is like the coolest girl in town. She's all like, everyone's like, oh my god, Lucy's so pretty, right? So then the boss is like, I got that. Like, this is easy. And so then the boss tries to go, and then basically he goes to Mr. Lord to ask, like, hey, would you be cool? And he's like, nah, don't do it, bro. So the boss is like, whatever, like, I didn't want her anyway, like, ugh, nasty. After he was just like, oh, I want her so much. So then Sydney's like, oh, she's so cool and like mysterious and stuff, whatever. And then, what's his face? Charles Darnay, because Charles is all cool and hip. He starts trying to, he's talking to Lucy, starts coming over more often, whatever. So he ends up talking to the dad, right? The doctor. He's a doctor. He's a physician. And so he's trying to talk to him and stuff. And they're like, yeah. Then the doctor dad starts talking about some weird like stuff about the tower and the Bastille. And Darnay's like, what? I know about that. How do you know about that? Because, Darnay is all French aristocrat, right? So whatever. And so he's like talking about some tower and some other stuff. And Darnay's like, dude, what? I got to tell you something, but I can't really tell you now. I'll tell you after me and your daughter get married. And Mr. Man's like, all right, cool. So then, like, some point in time, right? So Sidney Card, like, the lawyer guy. He's like, oh, nothing. No one cares about me in life. I suck. I'm such a terrible person. I'm such a chud. Oh my gosh, this is so bad. And then he's like, Lucy, like, you being in my life gave me purpose, all this baloney. And he's like, and not in, like, that type of way, but, like, in a friend way. Like, I would do anything for you. Like, you're basically you gave me purpose in life. And she's like, oh, thank you. I already have a husband, though, but thanks. Appreciate that. So that's interesting. Oh, I forgot. Okay, also someone forgot the story. See, I'm already making mistakes, guys. What am I doing? there's a character named Miss Pross, and Miss Pross is like the caretaker of Lucy. She's like Miss Pross calls her Ladybird, and so Miss Pross is always trying to put Lucy on with her little brother, I think. And the little brother's a terrible guy though, like terrible guy. He's like stole from Miss Pross, all these different types of like degenerate, and he's the spy Barsard. I kind of that's why I went over this because I kind of forgot, and so that's like a whole thing, and that'll be important later. Okay, let me just make sure I'm not like missing anything like important. Yeah, I think I'm doing pretty good so far. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Okay, I'm just realizing this book is like it's long. It took me 2 years to read the book, so okay. Where am I at again? Yeah. Pross, brother, Barsard. Okay, locked back in. Okay, so then, life is good for a little bit. You know what I mean? Maybe it's some light in here, right? Is that bad? Should I not do light? Maybe it's not. Maybe it's light for a long time. Okay, so then life is all good. Oh yeah, I mean we have Mr. Cruncher, right? Cause there's like in this book, it's so weird because there's like a story, right? But there's like all these little events that really don't even matter. Like they do, but they don't. But like maybe it's like they matter. I just can't really remember why they matter because I'm thinking of like the general story, and I'm like, what does this have to do with anything? Like there'll just be like legit pages where it's just like they're just chatting, like about nothing, and I'm just like, like what are you doing? And I have to reread the page because I'm like, what is this even about? Well, whatever. So now let's talk about Mr. Cruncher. Mr. Cruncher he like works for Mr. Lorry. Mr. Lorry works for Tellson's Bank, cool bank in London. And so he's like basically his like bodyguard kind of thing. He like escorts him places. And so Mr. Cruncher also he's like a grave robber. He moonlights as a grave robber. It's actually in the book, like the same moonlight as like a basic a resurrection man. Whatever that means. He basically robs graves. One chapter, Mr. Cruncher, he like goes out, sneaks out in the middle of the night. His kid watches him. After Mr. Cruncher's like, "Don't come with me," and his kid comes with him, and he like watches his dad rob a grave. So that was a funny part of the book. I'm just trying to remember parts of it because I feel like maybe I'm getting through it too quick because there's a lot of like little small parts, but whatever. But somehow, okay, so Lucy and Charles Darnay, they get married, right? Yay, married. And then I think Darnay tells Mr. Maynette, Lucy's dad, about like kind of his background, and he's like, and he becomes like weird, right? He's like geeked again. He's like in his trance of only making shoes. So then they're like everyone's really confused. So like, what is this guy doing? And I don't remember even how he got out of it. That's the thing. It just kind of took him a little bit, and then he got out of it. It's like whenever they mention stuff about France, he gets like, you know. So, again, they get married. They have a kid. I don't even know what the kid's name is. Is that bad? Should I know the kid's name? Okay, we're gonna call the kid's name Little M because I feel like it doesn't even really matter. So we have Little M, right? Little M's now. She's like growing up. Cool. Darnay's teaching French. Because why would he not teach French? He's literally aristocrat, whatever. Okay, so then one day, like it's like 6 years later, they like fast forward into time. What's his face? Darnay's at Tellson's talking about something, and he gets like a letter, and it's like from one of his old friends, and he's like, "Hey, we need your help. Like France is basically cooked, right?" So Darnay's like, "Oh," so then he goes back because he feels bad because he's like an aristocrat, so he needs to help out as like the worker people. So he goes back to France, and he's gonna go help him out. Okay, so he doesn't tell anybody though. He's like, this is gonna be too dangerous for everybody else. I'm just gonna leave my wife and my kid, little M, by themselves. Like that's so weird, but okay, whatever, dude. Do you? So he goes back to France. And then he gets caught, because they're like, oh, you're an aristocrat. We're going to catch you. And they send him to a prison. So then, when he gets caught, somehow, I guess Dr. Manhattan just knew where to go. Then he also goes, and they all basically, the whole cast goes to France. Except not right now. The only people there are Little M, Lucy, and Dr. Manette. Okay, but later on, Jerry Cruncher goes and Miss Prosco because why not? Let's just make it a party. Okay, so there's all the people there. Because right now, what's going on is it's like the time of like kind of the French aristocracy of the French Revolution. Because shocker, the girl who's knitting the whole time, yeah, she's actually like crazy and is leading the French Revolution. They call her like Madame Citizeness, right? And Mr. Defarge, the other wine guy. So they've been like, okay, here's some stuff I missed. I remember now. So basically, they're plotting this whole time. They're plotting on all the rich people, but we don't know why yet. But we will learn why. But they're plotting on all the rich people. Okay. But Mr. Defarge is like, well, what if it doesn't come in my lifetime? Like, he's like, we've worked so hard for this. And Mr. Defarge is like, no, it's okay. It'll come when it is needed. She's crazy. So basically, she's just going to round everybody up that she doesn't like, and she's going to execute them via guillotine. They use like a lot of weird analogies for it. They're like, one time it was like feeding it. They call it all different types of weird stuff. And it's like when I tell you this book made me like almost insane, I mean it. And it's just like they use some like weird analogies in here, like I'm not beefing with you, you know what I mean? Type of thing. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Let me just make sure. Okay, whatever. I'm not even gonna care. It's fine. If you came here for like a real breakdown of the book, sorry. Okay, so we're back on the horse. Basically they're having all these internal struggles, and then they're having like spies to spy on people, and they have like the three Jaquez, and it's like basically it's like little like a kind of a group of guys who are like, we're gonna overthrow the government, and they're all kind of cool with each other. And one of the three Jaquez is Mr. Defarge, and it's like two other people. So basically he's like meeting up with all these people to like, because there's a spy coming to Saint Antoine to like, because obviously they know about the people who are planning a revolution. So the spy comes, he's like, what, us? Nah, couldn't be us. Nah, I wouldn't know who that is. So they basically get the spy with their back, and they're like, now they're spying on us, and they do something to the spy. I don't remember what they do, but they had this like meeting in the upstairs room again. It's whatever, it's the whole thing. Okay, so then, okay, back to where we are. He gets captured, the whole family goes, and then Dr. Manette, he's like, hey, like, I'm a cool guy in France. Like, basically he goes and he starts being a doctor for the prison, La Force, where Darnay is at. So then all the people there are like, okay, such a stand-up guy. He's a cool guy. I like this guy. So then he's like, hey, since y'all like me so much, you should like him so much because he married my daughter. He's actually a really chill guy. And y'all are wrong for imprisoning him right now. Like, he's low-key not even that bad. He gave up all of his aristocracy. So then the council, the courtroom is like, that guy might be a chill guy. Let's give him a chance, right? And then Defarge is like, no. Okay? And so, like, while he's in prison, Lucy would be going, like, she'd, like, walk the street, and there's, like, all these people with the red beret, because that's, like, part of the aristocracy. And so there's this guy chopping wood. He's like a little woodcutter, and she like talks to him a few times. He's like, oh, that's cool. And then she sees like Adam Defarge go by a few times with like all the gang, the crazy gang going to the guillotine, right? And she's like, this is so odd. Hopefully that happens. My dear Charles, no. And so, but it's okay because Dr. Manette is that guy apparently in France. I don't know how he was in the Bastille and then he was crazy for half the time, but whatever. Being a doctor helps, I guess. So then he basically gets Charles out. And so they're like, yay. He's like, well, the doctor guy's a cool guy, so we're going to let Charles out. So they let Charles out the first time, foreshadowing. And then he goes back home. He's like, yay, I'm back with the fam. And then Madame Defarge is like, nah, that's not happening. So she captures him again. And they're like, I don't even know why, but they were like, basically like, yeah, we're not letting you go. So they capture him again, put him in a different prison this time. And so everyone's sad again. And then Cruncher and Miss Pross make an appearance. It's like, my ladybird, no. And then Mr. Lorry is also there because he's doing work at that Tellson's Bank. It's just a lot of going. It's just a lot of odd. Basically the whole family. It's a family reunion, right? Okay. So then they get captured again. So now they're like plotting, like, okay, what can we do? So then Mr. Minette tries to do something, and they're like, nah, we're not going for that. This guy has to die. Okay. So then Sydney comes somehow. Like I guess it's a family reunion at this point. So Sydney comes, and Sydney's like, dang, I gotta do something, man. And so Sydney talks to Mrs. Pross's son, I think, or little brother, like whoever Barsard is, the spy from the courtroom the first time. Okay, he talks to that guy. He's like, hey, man, do me a favor, because Barsard is cool with the aristocracy people, right? So he can like sneak him into the prison. So Sydney comes with this whole basically elaborate plan that he's gonna sneak into the prison, switch clothes with Darnay, and they're gonna switch places. And so it ends up happening. He talks to Mr. Lorry about it, and Mr. like, well, if that's what you want to do, man, like that'd be cool, but I'm not gonna ask you because it's kind of a crazy idea. But it ends up happening. So they switch places, okay? And then Darnay has this like his retrial. This is still Darnay, by the way. This is like they switch places after retrial. Sorry, after he's like condemned to death forever. Basically, Dr. Maynette gives this whole speech. It's like, I was a doctor in France in the same area, and so basically people just picked the aristocrats that picked me up, and they took me down to this forest, and basically there's like two guys were injured. Like there's just like a really odd scenario going on, and these two aristocrats are having him look over these people, right? That they were like whipped to basically to death. Like they basically almost killed them all, basically, and they're like, oh, these are basically like our cattle. We need our cattle to live. And they're treating these guys terribly, right? Like sexually assaulted one of the girls. Like it's just a lot going on. One of the girls, like she counts to 12 and then says something and then goes back. She's messed up because the aristocrat people, and they're like, sorry, they're our property, can't do anything, just help them out, make them not die. So Manette's like, he tries his best, doesn't end up working. But there's also a little girl there, right? And she's like watching this whole interaction, Manette like helping him out. But she sees the aristocrat treating her family badly. Hey, that little girl, shocker, that's Madame Defarge. That's why she hates all the aristocrats so badly. And so that happened. Okay, so Dr. Manette tells his whole story, right, about the aristocrats and what's going on in the village and all this stuff, okay? But then, so the court's kind of swayed, but then she's like, yeah, now you're dying. Yeah, sorry, Darnay, you gotta go. And Doctor, he's like, whoa, like, why are we, like, not Doctor, Mr. Defarge comes back, and he's like, whoa, why are we doing this? Like, this is a chill guy, all right? Like, I've known this guy who lived in the attic, all right, guy? Like, what are we doing? And he's like, yeah, you know that story you told? That was my family. That was my family. I watched it happen. So if anything needs to be mad with me, you need to be mad with the world. All the whole world, all the aristocrats gotta go. And he's like, oh, well, that might be... Doesn't really justify, but he's like, yeah, that could be, yeah, I could see that. I could see you want to kill the aristocrats now. So then Sydney switches. He talks to Barsard. Barsard's like, what? And then Sydney's like, I'm going to bribe you and turn you into the revolutionaries. And he's like, okay, fine. So they switch. Darnay goes back, and they leave. I feel like I'm probably missing something here, because that's what happens, but I feel like I missed something. No, it's probably right. Okay, so then, okay, they do the switch, they leave. Okay, so by the way, who do I mean by they? I mean like Sydney Carden, which is actually Charles the kid, Lucy, Lil M, Lucy, and Lori. I think they all leave. Miss Pross and Cruncher stay. So then Madame Defarge is like, wait, I have an idea. We could just suspect them of harboring like anti-revolutionary thought because her husband just died. Her husband's gonna die, so we're just gonna go pick him up and kill them too, because why not? She's insane. So then she goes, but then Miss Pross is there. She's like, basically her and Miss Pross have the showdown, and Miss Pross is like, I'm not gonna let you leave and hurt my ladybird. So then they get into like this fight, and then Mr. Forge pulls out like a gun, and then Pross sees it, and then she like, shh. And then basically what ends up happening is somehow Miss Defarge gets shot and she dies. Right? So then Pross leaves, she meets with Cruncher, and they hightail it out the city. So then all the people, they're like, no, because they're watching Charles Darnay, which is Sydney, they're watching his execution, and one of the other knitters, right, because obviously Mr. Farts has our little knitting squad that like knit, in the knittings, this is also something that I kind of forgot. In the knittings, it's like people, it's like symbols of stuff that recognizes, that will tell you who needs to be executed. So all the little knitter gang who's like recording all the people that need to be executed, they're like, hey, oh, her name is like Vengeance, I think. And she's like, where's Defarge? She's gonna miss Charles Darnay dying. And this is big because it was the Evermond family, the aristocrats who did that to Miss Defarge's like older sister and brother, who like whipped the crap out of them, like sexual assault them, all that stuff. Yeah, those are the Evermonds. That's why she doesn't like the Evermond family specifically. That's why she doesn't like Charles Darnay, because Charles Darnay is officially like, he's like the Marquis de Evermond, but even though he rejects his title of nobility, he still is, because his uncle died. He's like the heir, I guess. Yeah. So she's like, no, the Evermonds are gonna die, and everyone's gonna die. So where is she at, right? But during this whole thing, it's actually insane because it's sad, and she misses it because she's dead, obviously. So everyone's looking for her, but nobody finds her. And then Charles Darnay's talking to this other girl that he was talking to in prison. Not Charles Darnay. Carden's talking to this other girl like he's talking to in prison right before they die. And he's like, yeah, I'm looking at the lives of other people, da-da-da-da. And it's kind of sad how this has to happen. But through the rubble, they'll like rebuild, and he dies. But there's like a last page in here. He's like, it's like his, if I could say, it's basically saying like what I think, like, I'm gonna die either way, so there's no point in me like being negative. Like, he's not gonna do like last words because he's like, it's pointless, right? I don't look like a little bum before I die. But he's like, I, Barstow and Clyde Defarge, dreaming, I see the lives for which I lay down my life, peaceful, useful, prosperous, and happy. And then I shall see no more. I see her with a child upon her bosom, who bears my name. I see her father. Basically, he's talking about all the people that he helped out. Basically the family that he helped out, and that he can see them like helping him out, like naming him after him for being courageous. Yeah, and that's kind of where the book ends. Like, everyone goes back to London, and they're like, we made it out alive. And I guess they have another kid, and named it after Sydney Carden. So that's the book. Honestly, okay, the book I thought was pretty good. It's just, I kind of want to almost like reread it, or like watch another version of it. Like, maybe if there's a watchable version, I would want to watch it, because there's parts of it that I definitely like left out, or like were just kind of fuzzy about, because when I was reading it, it took me like 2 years maybe to read the book. It took me a while. But I honestly, at the end, I liked it. Once it got more fast paced, I liked it. That's the same thing. If you watch the Moby Dick video, it's like the same thing kind of there. It's just like, it kind of took me a while to get into it, but once I got into it, I kind of got it done. Like, over winter break, I knocked out like 150 pages, which for me was a lot. So, and I just finished it this weekend, like yesterday. 5/26/2026. So, yeah, it was a good book. Honestly, I recommend it. I recommend you read it. It's just kind of, you have to get into it though, for sure. But it's Charles Dickens. I mean, it's one of like the most renowned books probably ever. It was the best of times. It was the worst of times, right? Like, everybody knows that from this book. Honestly, it's really good. If you're like really into reading, I think you'd like it. If you're not into reading, it's gonna be kind of hard for you. So, oh, his boss's name is Schreiber, I think. Mr. Schreiber, I think. That sounds right. Sydney's boss. Sorry. Yeah, that's the book, guys. I think it was good. It's just kind of yaps sometimes, like on the pages. Montségur. That's what it might be. It might be Montségur de Evermond. And then, that's like, no, Montségur is like the person above them. Like, if you're real, like, nobility, like, the person above you is the Montségur, I think. There's just a lot of odd things. It's also, like, old. So, yeah. Thank you for watching. Thank you for tuning to the book review. If you think I should, like, add more analysis, go back, look over the book, because I, like, took notes in the book some places. I think I should go back, make it more analysis, Maybe even like read the Spark Notes to see the parts that like I'm unsure about, and then come back and give another review. I could. Let me know if you want that. I mean, this video is already kind of long, so maybe I'll. Also, like, what book should I do next? I was thinking, okay, I have a few recommendations. I have like Walden, because I had to read that for AP English 3. And I like read parts of it, but I didn't read the whole thing. I kind of want to go back because it's a nice book. You know, it was like, time is just a stream I go fishing in. Like, that's kind of a cool line. Like, that kind of, I don't know, it's kind of a, like, if I was like ever in the hammock as reading, I feel like I want to read Walden. It's pretty chill. He also yaps though really bad. So I could do that, or I could do the Odyssey. That John is long though, but I think it's like actually the same amount of pages. It's just the book format's a little different. So I have to see maybe on that too. But yeah, thank you for joining me today. Actually, I might make a follow-up video because I feel like I didn't do a good enough job in this video. But yeah, so let me know if I should do that. I think I probably will anyway though, just to like keep the channel going. But yeah, thank you all for tuning in. Peace. Thank you for watching.